All right. Happy noon, everybody. Welcome. Welcome to our Great Start Collaborative and Family Coalition Facebook Community Connections Live. And I'm Jean Favor. I am the family liaison with the Family Coalition, and we're bringing community services and community individuals who support families and individuals in the family planning process as well to our lives to kind of talk about their services and get to know them a bit better. And if you're on live today or if you pop in, you can also be asking questions if you have any questions for them. So today in our series, we've got my friend Kanyn from Planned Parenthood of Michigan. She's got a whole bunch of cool information to tell us, and I'll let her introduce herself. I think what's your title? Community educator? What is it?
Community outreach educator.
Community outreach
Yeah.
educator. So you work educating communities
Yes.
about what?
Yeah. So Kanyn, she, her pronouns, with Planned Parenthood of Michigan, community outreach educator. I'm also the youth education specialist, and I'll
Okay.
talk about that a little bit more too. But yeah, community outreach educator is just long for sex educator, but community outreach just shows too that a lot of my work and all of my work is responsive to the community needs. So I'm one of 10 educators across the state of Michigan, but I service the Petoskey area. And so the education that's needed in Petoskey and in this region looks a lot different than even Traverse City or Marquette. And so that's why we're community outreach educators, because we're community responsive and we do a lot of outreach work. So I'm out tabling, I'm out giving out different supplies to folks and educational information and things like that. So that is what I spend some of my time doing, but most of my time is spent in school-based programs. So I'm in 6 different school districts across Antrim, Charlevoix, Otsego, and Emmett County. And I go into schools and am a guest presenter to anywhere from 4th through 12th grade. And so for 4th, 5th, 6th grade, it can look like puberty, making sure they know how to take care of their bodies as they're going through these weird and awkward changes.
Mm-hmm.
And then, 9th, 10th, 11th look like just STI education, making sure they know about different options as far as birth control and things like that. And then 12th grade usually ends with relationships, consent, and making sure that they know the signs of supportive, unsupportive, and abusive relationships so they can go off as adult people and just have that education and information. So that's what I spend most of my time doing, which positions me on my team as a youth education specialist. So I'm kind of the go-to person as far as the lens in which we're understanding youth education, the tools that are available, youth development, and the trends that we're seeing in regards to youth sexual health needs. So I spend a lot of my time hanging out with young people, which is my favorite.
Yeah, that sounds like a really kind of honored position to have and to a role to play in those kids' lives. And I'm glad you're in those 6 schools
Mm-hmm.
doing that. So awesome. And so then the
Thank you.
community outreach, you said you're also out tabling and kind of reaching out to the community about Planned Parenthood and the services that you provide. Is that kind of what that outreach is talking about?
Yeah, absolutely. And so, I don't think a lot of people know that we do education
Mm-hmm.
unless they come into contact with me or they're really closely associated with Planned Parenthood. So that's my role. I'm out here in the community, and connecting with people in that way. But we have a health center staff that's at the Planned Parenthood in Petoskey. And so for some folks that are listening to this, that might be your closest Planned Parenthood. But if you're in Antrim County, we have a Planned Parenthood in Traverse City as well. So just wanting to
Mm-hmm.
orient folks just in case that's also a little bit closer. So those are the two that are servicing this community in particular. But yeah, we provide a full plethora of sexual and reproductive health services. So anywhere from annual wellness exams. And so this looks like any body, any person. So making sure that you're just getting, these parts of your body checked out. And also just wanting to say too that we know that living in northern Michigan, it can be really hard to get into physicians or just basic healthcare providers. And so if that's something that you're in need of, we're here to help fill that gap if that is something that you are looking for. We provide birth control prescriptions, the morning after pill or emergency contraception. If a person is experiencing pain, inflammation, or infection in those different areas of their body, we can do an exam and then also make sure that folks are getting medication if there is something going on. We provide medication abortion. We provide PrEP pills. So PrEP and PEP have to do with HIV prevention. So PrEP lowers the chance of getting HIV. So it's taken as a precautionary mechanism. If a person's engaging in activity that they feel like they could come into contact with HIV, they can take PrEP to lower that risk. And then PEP is taken if someone feels as though they have come into contact with HIV, and it lowers their chances of contracting it. And then we do pregnancy testing, of course. And then finally, we do STI testing. And if a person tests positive for an STI, we can also make sure that they get the treatment that they need to, so they're not having to go to a bunch of different locations. So that is our healthcare services in a nutshell.
Yeah, that's a lot. And I do think, I mean, I think
It
Planned
is.
Parenthood is a pretty well known name, but I think people might not understand the wealth of services that are provided. And I just to step back, and I know you emphasized it, but you said all bodies, all people. So I think maybe a lot of people might just think this is for mothers. Strictly women would use Planned Parenthood, and I don't. Just maybe through my conversations I've had with other people, kind of explaining that this is for all bodies, and the clinic will support anybody that walks in the door and is looking for help. Is that kind of the
Absolutely.
vision? Okay,
112%. Yes,
awesome.
exactly. Because it's not, when I go through all these services, I think we think like of certain bodies, but if a person has a penis, like you still need to get checked out for certain things. Like there are still certain reproductive things that you need to make sure you're getting checked up on, just as prevention mechanisms. And same with STI testing and treatment. STIs don't discriminate. Those can go to any body. And so, we see a lot of people who identify as men coming in for that as well, which is important and is still a part of your overall health and can impact other parts of your health as well. But we also know that sexual and reproductive health can be really stigmatizing, can be really hard to talk about and be really hard to advocate for as well on behalf of yourself or your family. But we try really, really hard to make sure that that is a very comfortable conversation, that, we're destigmatizing this. And that is what I work really hard to do out in the community, of making sure that people know, like, we are here. That's why we are here. And we are ready to provide these services for you and make sure that your body is taken care of. But yes, we are open to anybody and everybody, regardless of how you identify. If you have a body that you want to take care of, that's what
All
matters.
right.
So, yeah.
Walk in if you have a body. Okay, so let's say I have a body and I want to take care of it. Where do I go? Who do I talk to? What do I do to make an appointment? Do I have to make a call? Do I walk in? How does it work?
Yeah, so we do offer, you can book online,
Okay.
thank goodness, because a lot of places don't now, which is always so interesting to me. But you can book online, so
Awesome.
it's www.ppmi.org. If you go on there, you plug in your zip code, and it will connect you to, wherever you are, it will connect you to your nearest Planned Parenthood. And you then select what services you're looking to get. We do offer telehealth appointments, so if transportation or getting to the nearest Planned Parenthood is an issue, you are absolutely able to connect with a provider via telehealth just for that
Nice.
initial conversation. And then if it's looking like, you need to come in and get examined or whatever, then you can talk to that provider about it. But for that initial appointment, you can absolutely do a telehealth appointment. And if a person is not wanting to use insurance or does not have
Mm-hmm.
insurance, we do provide sliding scale fees depending on your income, as well as additional factors that you will talk through with the person that you're booking with. And so again, like that's not usually all like laid out online. But if you have questions, or again, if that's not something that you have access to or want to use, that's absolutely okay. We want to make sure you still have access to this vital health care. And so to diminish those barriers, we have a sliding scale fee available. There was something else that I was going to say too. And if you need additional support in getting to an appointment and things like that, that will also be something that the intake folks will talk you through. I know that, I mean, especially when I'm talking to young people, like, I know that people don't like talking on the phone. Like, it's not,
Not
everyone's favorite thing. Especially when you're, like, talking about this kind of
yes.
stuff, and you're talking to this stranger, and you're like, yeah, you know, this is what I think I need. And that is why the booking option online is available. And utilize it. It will walk you through a series of questions just to kind of get a general idea of what it is that you need. But all you got to do then is just show up for your appointment, whether that be on Zoom or telehealth or in person. But we're trying to make it as accessible as possible for folks. And if you have questions or if there's something that comes up, feel free to call the health center. We are there and always ready to answer questions as well.
Awesome. Yeah, that's what I was going to ask, if the booking kind of is like you just pick a date, or if you do a little bit of an intake kind of telling what's going on. Do you do anything with like insurance at that point, or is that once you get into the clinic, once you meet with the physician and the provider to kind of process through what that's going to look like?
Yeah. So, and usually they'll call beforehand just to make sure, especially just based on the nature of your appointment, if there's things that they need to know beforehand, they will give you a call. And just walk you through that. But they will also ask to make sure, you know, what is it that you want to use, or if you're not using insurance, like what's your situation and things like that. Because we don't want to assume, and sometimes people don't know that that's an option. And so just making sure that people do know, and again, making sure we're diminishing those barriers if they come up at all.
Awesome. Yeah, I had a question too.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So is it like, would you have a long-term relationship with this provider? Is it typically just like a 1 or 2 time visit, or do you have like, you know, is it based on like, you know, emergent needs, or is it just kind of a standing arrangement?
You know, that's such a good question. I think it looks different for every person, but we have a team there of 4 individuals that serve as our health center staff who are there. Like, that is who is there every day. And so you will see the same face coming in. You will see the same clinician when you go and talk to that provider. And so I think that helps folks, especially because, it will be the same people every time you go in there. Like, we're not changing out. It's the same for people. And so, I mean, you can continue to make appointments, you know, and book, like, if it's an annual wellness exam, like, book out and make sure that you're getting the care that you need. But just kind of the nature, I think, also of some of the things that we provide, it's usually like one standing. But for like birth control and things like that, like if you need to come in and re-up things or want to change things, like you are going to, more likely than not, you're going to be talking to the same
Stick
person.
with the same,
Yes.
Yeah, perfect.
Which is cool. It's a great
super
team.
cool.
Oh, they're a great team. Yeah.
Yeah, I know, it's just, turnover's hard when you've got, you know, for healthcare and committing you're offering yourself to this person on, you know, providing you care. So it's nice to have that kind of steady relationship built up over time.
Absolutely, especially up here, because we know just how valuable that is, and familiar faces go a long way. And so, but the health center staff at Petoskey is amazing. They are a fun group of people. You will usually hear them laughing because they're just like, they all get along so well. And so, it's just like a really fun environment. And I should say too, there's always a lot of educational material which I make sure of, and that team makes sure of too. And so we have, you know, your guide there, the Great Start Collaborative's guide right there, and how to get connected to doulas and things like that. And we also always have free barrier methods available. So condoms, dental dams, lubricant, if people are in need of those things. And if, again, cost is a barrier or access in general is a barrier, know that you can go there always and get free stuff like that. And you can go to your local health department as well. I always like to plug them because they're an amazing resource in our community. So,
Awesome. Well, that's wonderful. So just thinking through that, and I think we talked about the insurance, who gets to go in there. So if you do want to call, there is a number, I imagine, to call as well, to talk to an actual person, for those people who would prefer that over the computer. Does that go directly to the clinic, or do we like go through the Planned Parenthood of Michigan to get there? What's the routine for that?
Yeah, so there is a direct line. If you like just Google Planned Parenthood, the Petoskey Health Center will come up, and then that will be the direct line. If you go online, though, there is a 1-800 number, and that
Okay.
will go through our call center. And so usually you'll have to just answer a few questions, and then they'll direct you in the right way. If for whatever reason people are feeling like they're going through the call center and they're not getting what they need, or they're confused or anything like that, I would always recommend just calling the Petoskey Health Center, or even just dropping in if that's accessible to you, just to make sure. Sometimes it's just a little easier to talk to a human face to face, or just talk to the local folks because they can make sure that you are getting what you need. I just had some people say that they just left feeling a bit confused after talking to the call center. So I just want to make sure that people know that if that's how you're left, that you're not alone. But yeah, you don't be discouraged. Like, make sure that you're still getting the care that you need. So
Awesome. And my last, maybe my last question. So
yeah,
age range of bodies served, is there kind of limits, maximums to how young or old?
such a good question. Yeah. So STI testing and treatment, and hopefully a lot of folks on here. I mean, if you have young people in your life, you know, are supporting them if they're in need of that. Specifically, again, teenagers. Specifically, when I say young people, I'm talking 13 up. And so, in the state of Michigan, young people 13 up can get tested and treated for STIs. They can do that either with a guardian and parent or without. That's just to make sure that young people are accessing that care, even with all the stigma that comes with youth sexuality as well. So that's accessible to them. Also, birth control is also accessible to them, 13 and up as well. Again, that they can go in and do that without a guardian and parent, but we are always hoping that young people have access to an adult person in their life that they can be having these conversations with. And so, yeah, I just hope that is you as a human. But yeah, and then obviously we know that sexuality and reproductive health spans the life, right? It changes, but we then serve whoever and however they need it. We service those people too.
Awesome. Just go online or walk in the door. It sounds really welcoming.
Yes. Yeah. Yes. We hope. We work really hard to make sure. But yeah. And if people, see me out and about, I'm usually, out in the Petoskey area or just in my car traveling to the next school I'm going to. But I always like to give people my contact information, just because if you're in need of something, or if you have somebody you're working with that needs something, I'm absolutely available to point you in the right direction or connect you with the health
Awesome.
center staff. So, and I'm pretty easy to get a hold of. So,
Great. Yeah.
yeah,
What about hours? Is it Monday through Friday?
great question. So right now we do Monday through Thursday.
Okay.
And you know what? Actually, let me just check on that, because it did recently um, shift. I know we are closed on Fridays, but I want to make sure that I know about Mondays. Um, 9 to 5. Oh yeah, so it's Tuesday through Thursday.
Okay.
5
Tuesday through
is
Thursday
our open hours.
now. Okay.
Yep.
Super. Yep. Check that out. And then if I'm doing an online booking, it's gonna obviously give me available times, so I can go through that.
It
But
is.
just keeping in mind, don't visit on Monday or Friday.
Don't visit on Monday or Friday. Tuesday and Thursday, it's fair game.
Okay.
Please.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yes.
What else? What did we forget?
I don't know. We hit a lot of things.
Did.
But yeah, I guess I just would encourage folks, like, I know that these aren't super comfortable conversations to have, like, and from an education lens, like, a lot of adult people out there watching, you were probably not given and provided the sexual health education that you needed. And so, we're out here really trying to make sure that folks have that, so that they're making, again, the best decisions for themselves and their bodies. But we are always here, and we are here to fill gaps that we know are present, just because of stigma and because of shame and because of silence, because a lot of these things aren't talked about. But there's a lot of resources available if you want to continue this conversation, if you just want to learn more. And I'm always available, and we're always just really, really honored to serve the Northern Michigan community and just to be here and be in connection with all of you. So Jean, I really appreciate you having me
Great.
on. So
Yeah.
thank you.
Yeah. Thanks, Kanyn. It's lovely
Yeah.
to have you, and hopefully we can send some more people your way on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, and
Yes.
get some health care they need. And the school year is going to start up again pretty soon, so you'll be back in the classroom and,
Yep.
you know,
Yeah.
educating all the youth.
Yes. Yeah. If any of your kids come home and say, "This lady talked to me today about my body," it might be me. So reach out if you have any questions. So I'm
Perfect.
always
Perfect.
happy to be in conversation. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thanks, Kanyn. I don't think we have any questions in the comments, and thanks for everybody watching today and in the future. And definitely check out Planned Parenthood if you're looking for any of those services. All right, we'll
Thanks
see
so
everybody
much.
later. Bye.
Bye.